In this lesson, we're focusing on the concept of overlapping shapes, and this is something you often encounter when you're drawing a series of objects. So when you're looking at a series of objects and you're drawing them, you need to think about what is in the background versus what's in the foreground. Now, if I have these two objects, right, let's say I was going to draw this red bell pepper and this pumpkin. They're arranged together like this. Well, what's in the background is the red bell pepper because it's behind the pumpkin. If I flip-flop it, the pumpkin is now in the background. The red bell pepper is in the foreground. It's in front. If I flip it back, the pumpkin is now in the foreground. It's in front. So that is something you have to look at. You also have to think about what is being covered, right? When I move this pumpkin in front of this corner of the red bell pepper, we can no longer see that corner, even though we know it's there. But we know this is the background, this is the foreground. So for your practice activity, we're going to start with this exercise here. We have a series of shapes. And again, we need to notice what's in the background versus what's in the foreground. And when you look at this, again, your brain is going to take over and think, oh my gosh, I have all these shapes. How am I going to draw them? And they are just simple geometric shapes. So what's in the background is the white circle and the gray triangle. What's in the foreground is this black pentagon. So to sketch it, and as I'm drawing, my eye is looking up and down. Now the point of this is not to get a perfect circle, though of course you can always step in with your eraser to fix things, but I can actually draw the entire circle. I just know that I'm going to have to erase part of it later on, because now I can actually start noticing the edges, right? So I have this triangle here, and we know the corner is somewhere right in here. You can actually imagine where that edge is. And so now I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to go ahead and draw part of this triangle here. Now my eye is flipping up and down, so I notice I still need to fix some of the curves. And I'm doing this rather fast just so you don't get too bored, but obviously you will go much more slowly. But again, I can already see, I didn't have to draw the whole triangle because we can see that part of it is actually being covered up by the shapes in front. Please do not shade anything in. And again, I'm actually noticing the edges, like where does this line up in terms of the top point of this black pentagon. I'm noticing there's a little bit of an edge right there. And I'm noticing this edge here too. So you can actually start noticing the relationship of the different edges in order to draw the shape. Now, after you have all the shapes drawn, you need to do a little bit of erasing because we want to show the overlapping. And of course, you can always go back and fix your lines. I was drawing rather light because I know I'm going to be erasing things later on. So for this exercise using a set of grapes, again, you need to think about what's in the background versus what's in the foreground. And this is really just about looking and noticing the edges and the overlapping shapes. Now, often when students see this, they're like, well, I know what it is. There's a stem and there's a bunch of grapes. But then when they draw it, they just kind of draw it and they just draw a bunch of random circles. Now, obviously, that is not accurate, right? These grapes are much, much bigger in your picture. So we're going to focus on definitely these shapes first. But with this, actually, you can decide, am I going to draw the shapes in the back, right? Kind of hard to start with the shapes in the back because we can't see all of it. Yes, we can recognize some of the circles. There's actually a grape right back there. But when I start, I'm actually going to start with these two circles at the front because they're in the foreground. They're the most prominent. I can easily see them. But then after I draw this second grape, and again, my eye is just flipping back and forth, up and down, I can actually draw this one here. And again, you can draw it as a circle because we're going to do some erasing to show the overlap. Just make sure you erase the correct line. And then in here, right, we can actually imagine this is a slight oval. It's not a perfect circle, but again, we can kind of imagine where that edge comes out. It is a little bit higher than this one. Notice this is the bottom of that one, while this one is actually a little bit higher there. So make sure that grape is not the same level. And again, you can always fix your lines. There is a little bit of a circle back here because there's a grape behind there. So, but this one definitely, I can actually visualize the whole circle that's here. So I can actually draw that. And then there's actually a circle right back here. I'm going to ignore the stem for the moment. I'll come back to the stem. And this part, I'm not sure what that is. It looks like water, so don't worry about that. But after you have fixed up all the edges of your lines, then we can go in and draw our stem. And it's just kind of a bunch of little shapes. Remember, these are shapes. Ignore what this represents. And once you're done, you've drawn in your stem and you've fixed all of your lines, that is how this exercise is completed.